She who thrives. Phoenix rising. The true me. The ups and downs crazy in life. So take this journey with me. She who thrives. Yeah. Good morning, sunshine, and welcome to the She Who Thrives podcast, a podcast about women who have faced different adversities in life and have overcome and became successful in their own right. You are here today with your host, of course, Janelle Borrero, and we have a new guest. She is new to me as well. We met recently at a women's conference, but we'll talk about that in a few. Her name is Bella Vida. It's her pen name, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But I wanted her on because it was very intriguing. But we'll talk about it more. But yes, yay. Welcome.
Hello, everybody.
So it was very recent,
Yes.
and this was the very last minute for me to bring her on. With everything that has gone on in my world, I didn't get to invite people, and it was like, it was meant. It was literally meant. So I was like, you know what? Let me bring her on. Let me see if she can do it. And she said, yeah. So I was like, yeah. So yeah, tell us about yourself.
Fantastic. Well, first and foremost, thank you for the opportunity. And I'm Bella Vida. Like she said, that's my pen name. I'm born and raised New York City. I'm a Bronx girl. Go Yankees. And I had the privilege of self-publishing last year. I've always been a creative soul, always looked to writing as an outlet, just as a way of venting. Never thought in a million years that I would be self-publishing, but here I am. I had the opportunity to do so, and now it's resonating with a lot of souls.
Do you want to talk about the name? Sure. How did you come up with the name of the book?
So it's called Illusions of the Soul, and I came up with the name because it's introspective poetry. So it's just bringing all the readers, again, the eyes are the light of the soul. So just bringing everybody, kind of like into what's in here and giving them a VIP on, the journey that I've transpired over the years.
So when you first told me about the book and I read the synopsis, I didn't realize that it was poems, that was poetry. So it's like, wow. And now that I have the book in my hand, that I was skimming through it and going through it, I know from experience growing up, I used to sit down and write. I don't want to say that was poems. It was probably poems, but I never seen myself as that. But it was a way of me escaping from what I was going through back then. And that was my little outlet. So what made you get into writing poems?
Writing always came naturally to me, even in school. When we were doing English comp and they would give us a writing prompt. I don't know, I was always fascinated with writing and just being able to, create your own story. And like you said, it's definitely an escape. Mm-hmm. So I've been writing since a very young age. Some of these poems I've written a long time ago. Some of them are newer. But it's just amazing how, from a writer's perspective, especially a poetic perspective, mm-hmm. you can say the same things, but just kind of like paint that picture for everybody without mm-hmm. really saying, hey, this is what's going on, and how it resonates with everyone differently. Like mm-hmm. I've gotten feedback from the same piece of poetry, and it resonates with one person one way, and they're able to relate to it one way, and somebody else in a totally different way. So I've been fascinated by it. And my son started out writing poetry.
Oh, really?
And he turned his poetry into bars. And now, he's been, a music artist for years. So, like they say, even people like Tupac, he was a poet. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's how pretty much everything started.
It's pretty cool because you said you had it from years ago. So how many years do you think you've collected all of these poems? Because I know from back then when I was a little girl, I wrote so much, but I never kept anything.
Right.
So it's like, it's interesting.
I want to say definitely there's at least a minimum of 10 years plus poetry in there.
How do you keep a track of all of these poems? Where do you?
I've kept journals,
10 years ago,
journals, things on my phone. I mean, it's just one of those things where I can be showering or even in my sleep and I wake up and it's like, oh my God, I got to jot this down. Mm-hmm. I mean, it can come about from anything.
So you're one of those that have the journal on your nightstand?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And if not, there's the phone, or even if I have to do like a voice recording. But yeah.
I've never done the voice recording one. I've tried that, but I haven't been able to do it. I know I seen one when I opened it. Hold on. Because, guys, she has this. She wrote it in English, and then she has it translated in Spanish. So it's pretty cool that she did that, because not everybody can do that. Especially to have the same meaning from English to Spanish, because to me, I
Yes.
think Spanish has better meanings to a lot of stuff than
No,
it when you
yes.
try to translate it into English. So do you write it in English first and then translate it?
Yes.
Okay.
I wrote everything in English first, and translating it was challenging because when you go from one language to another, like you said, the context of the writing can be lost in translation. So nobody knows, you're like in my case, nobody knows my poetry and what I meant to say more than myself. So it was challenging. I had to change a couple of things around for it to not lose, the essence of the poem. But I managed to do it. So for all my Latinos.
I have to say this is great. Is there any one specific poem that is your favorite?
Wow. I mean, that's a tough one, but I would have to say the two that I mainly do when I go out to do spoken word, which is Beauty and the Beast and Who Am I? Beauty and the Beast because...
That's in here?
Yes.
I haven't seen it. Hold on. Let's see. Where is it at?
Beauty and the Beast.
Do you want to share it on here?
Of course.
Okay. I haven't seen it. I don't know if you know where it's at, but...
Let's see.
So for those of you that... How we met, if you listen to the podcast prior to this one, I was sitting on the panel for SCORE, which is part of the SBA. SCORE does help people, small businesses, entrepreneurs, open their business and progress in business. So they had a women's conference on April 11th, and they invited me to be on the panel for successful women entrepreneurs. And as I said in the last podcast, that, I was going through my own emotional roller coaster with everything that was going on. And I kept my promise to be there and sit on that panel and still be my authentic self and speak. And afterwards, I honestly didn't expect for people to come and talk to the panelists after, because I've sat on a panel before and it wasn't that way. Mm-hmm. So it kind of caught me off guard when people were coming up to me and be like, oh my God, you're so authentic. I think you've been so authentic and all of that. And then she came up to me as well and spoke to me. And it was just liberating to know that what I was saying resonated with other people. And then when I read the synopsis of her poetry, and it's like, so many people like me go through so much, and we have overcome so much. Yes. So me being authentic and being able to tell my story, but know that I'm going through my business and being still, I didn't realize till that day that the name of that panel was Successful Women Entrepreneurs, because there's many times that I don't look at myself as being successful at times,
right.
So, but anyway, so that's how her and I met. And you were right away to send me messages on Instagram, and just like, okay, all right, let me go ahead and look her up and really see who she is and get information on this. So she does have one here that she wants to share called Beauty and the Beast. I'll let you read it so I don't butcher it.
No worries. But before I do, I did want to add, and I wanted to tell everybody she was absolutely amazing at that SCORE panel. I was really touched and choked up most of the time because I was really able to relate. Just going through so many experiences, like it describes in the book cover. Anybody that knows me up close and personal knows that this is real, based on real life, and even the motions that I'm still going through. But just to be able, and God is so good. I have to say that first and foremost. All glory to God. He is so good that he never shortchanges us. And even when we think, that we've gone through so many setbacks and feel defeated, he can easily turn everything, all those circumstances that were meant to shut us down for good and use them as a tool of empowerment. And that's pretty much how this came about. I was honestly, despite of my faith, circumstances can be sometimes so intense that you contemplate just giving up. Like, why am I here? What's the point, Like, sometimes you can take one step forward and two steps backwards because life throws you curveballs. But how beautiful it is that you can utilize the good, the bad, and the ugly and use it as a tool of empowerment to help other people. And that the pain is not wasted. So that's how this has come about. That's how, it's touching lives. And that's how Beauty and the Beast came about. So I just wanted to share that little bit so that you guys, can understand the piece. A lot of times we don't want anybody to see our vulnerability, right? We don't want to see or let people rather see the pain, see the ugliness, whether it's sickness, infirmity, being bankrupt, whatever the case might be, because we don't want, nobody likes that. Nobody likes to show their weakness, but there comes a moment in life where you realize, and that's what happened to me, that, hey, you know what? It's all part of my story. Let me embrace it. Why not? It can help somebody else that's there now. Right. You know what I mean? Like, even though we might not be in that moment anymore, but that's the beauty of poetry. That it's universal, that anybody at any given moment going through that can relate to it, just like music is universal. So Beauty and the Beast is exactly about that. It's about taking the good, the bad, and the ugly and embracing who you are, because at the end of the day, that's what shapes you. It molds your character, and what doesn't break you makes you stronger. So now, instead of being a victim of the pain, we can be a victor and go out and help somebody else and say, hey, listen, I've been there, done that. I know what it feels like. You don't have to go through it alone, because I know what it feels like to go through it,
You're not by yourself.
And have at least one person, just one person, care and maybe just lend an ear. They don't have to do much, but it makes all the difference in the world.
Most definitely.
When you're, contemplating just giving up.
Yeah. There's times that I say I think to myself, I just want to give up because what's the point of this?
Right.
I think I said it in the panel, like, there's different struggles, and God didn't throw just a curveball at me. He just threw straight a wrench at my heart. And it's like, now is at the point of, all right, what was the lesson behind it all? Yes. So that's what I wanted to convey in that panel. Like, yes, we all go through certain things. We're going to see different battles and we're going to have to overcome it. But I see a lot with myself that I let myself feel it. But it comes with a lot of healing. Yes. You had to go through a lot of healing to be able to say, let me feel it. Because prior to me healing, I honestly wouldn't have showed emotion behind a lot of things. I would have never been very vulnerable and shared anything that I did in that panel. I wouldn't have been so authentic about it. I would have just gave you guys what you wanted to hear. Exactly. As opposed to what you should hear. So then I probably wouldn't have got people to really relate to me. And I didn't realize how many people were going to relate and how many people came up to me afterwards to talk to me. And everything happens in my life right now, and it's a purpose behind it all. Right. And it's like, what's the lesson? And I think a lot of these lessons that I'm having is to be, inspirational to other women. So I'm enjoying this chapter and enjoying this journey. But hearing that you enjoyed what I was saying. Totally.
And it's so funny that you touched the topic of healing, because I was going to eventually get to that, because it's precisely when you do the work, which is not always easy to do the work. It's not easy at all. Because doing the work requires not just discipline, but a lot of digging, and a lot of just going back and kind of like regurgitating that hurt, that pain, whatever it was that we experienced, because everybody's been hurt some way or another. You know what I mean?
You saying that, I just have this analogy. I swear to you, it probably really disgusting an analogy, but have you guys had that really, really bad hangover from all the liquor you had the night before, and you're just vomiting and vomiting, and you get to that point that is just that phlegm or the acid that's coming out of you?
Yeah.
That's how it feels, guys. It's not pretty.
Purification moment, right?
You promise it to God that you're never gonna drink again and all of this stuff. Yeah, that's how it feels when you're going through the healing process.
Yes. Exactly. It's not pleasant, and it's a lot
not.
easier to just walk away and, not deal with it, which is what I did for many years. Yeah. We can deal with trauma, root of rejection, so many things that require healing. But like you said, it isn't until you start healing and then you start looking at things from a different perspective. Because when you're going through the pain and the emotions, even though that there are other people out there going through the same thing, but it's almost like if you have tunnel vision, you know what I mean? It's almost like a horse when they have the muzzle, and it's like, okay, you feel like you're drowning in your pain. But once you start coming over to the other side, and that's part of the reason why when I self-published, I layered the chapters the way I did, starting with the anger, starting with the hurt and disappointment chapters, and then slowly transitioning into gratitude and rising from the ashes, because it is a process. That you start seeing things from a different perspective, and you are able to then share, because now you're able to share and you're not experiencing that hurt and that pain anymore.
Right.
But it's a little more challenging when you're still going through the motions to be able to, empower and motivate somebody else.
Yeah, so before we continue talking, because we can continue talking, I'm going to let you go ahead and read Beauty and the Beast.
There we go.
us.
So you can follow along.
Okay.
I got it up here.
You have it up? Okay.
Yes. I heard a message the other day that said we're all part beauty and part beast. The beast is that side of us that we don't want anyone else to see. But this is why jealousy is such an evil thing, because nobody has it together just as well as you may think. You have so much to offer and you have so much to give, yet you feel shortchanged by the beast you have within. You see, while you're focusing on that other person's great abilities, it's the beastly things that built them to become who they were predestined to be. It's the fire that ignited the warrior within to conquer great territories no matter what life brings. It's what determines if you're a victim or a victor, you get by or have plenty more, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. For with the measure that you give, it will be given back to you, but it's precisely the beastly things that will bring the blessings to you. See, I'm not just talking about your money and your tithes, it's about your attitude while you ride the waves of life. It's so easy to admire the beauty and of the beast to never tell, not realizing like a coin, we're all both heads and tails. But yet we all have such a great story that's so powerful and unique, one that you can be proud of because it's your story to speak. It's not your beauty that brings you to greatness, it's your beast, because it's your beast that makes you stand on your own 2 feet. So the next time you look in the mirror, be proud of whom you see. And don't forget to remind them, hey, you right there, you're a beast.
Yay! You gave me goosebumps. I love that. I have to say we're guilty of, I know I'm guilty of it. Sometimes you don't realize that I am where I am because of the beast. And this is, one is for you to have this memorized. Do you have all of them memorized?
Not all of them. I never used to believe like when singers and poets used to say, I don't know all my stuff by heart. And I'm like, how could it be possible if you wrote it? Well, now I know.
That was hard. I mean, I know it would be hard for me to, well, I have difficulties remembering a lot of things. My memory can be kind of like, whoo. But this was amazing. I have to say, with that whole thing of, because you're the beast that makes you stand on your own feet, 2 feet. That's just, yeah. hey, you right there, you're a beast. So I think I've said this in the panel too, of putting the affirmations on the mirror.
Yes.
This is like, I think I'm gonna write that and put that on the mirror.
Awesome.
Because that's really dope. I like that.
Awesome. Yeah, you have to embrace that challenges, embrace whatever it is, that's the ugly behind the scenes, because it's so easy, like somebody may look at you right now and be like, oh my God, I want to be like her. But nobody knows the price that it's cost you to get to where you are today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's easy to look at the beauty, to look at where somebody has arrived. But what has that person experienced behind the scenes, the pain, everything that it's cost them? And that's the beast that we have to embrace, because listen, it cost me pain, tears, sweat, but it's all part of the story, and it's all part of why you're here now, able to do things like this.
I had talked about it too on the podcast, how sometimes, especially with social media, how people see it from the outside, and sometimes many people on social media are portraying something false.
Yes.
So they can sell or whatever it is that they're trying to do. And a lot of times it's not true.
Right.
And I want to have that different spin. I want to be able to show you not only the struggles, but even the triumphs of what I did and all of my accomplishments, because it's very hard to, coming from where I come from, I'm sure you can relate that it's hard to celebrate yourself when you accomplish certain goals.
For sure.
Because it wasn't good enough. And it's hard. So now, not only am I sharing the bad moments, I want to share the good moments as well and celebrate, even if it's something that may be so simple to someone else, really celebrate for myself. So recently, I forgot what it was. I think asking if I was going to show up to something in a week from now or whatever. And I was saying, you know what? I have to be proud of myself for even showing up today, for getting out of my house today to do and accomplish whatever I need to get done today. I'm okay with that.
Exactly.
So I have to be like, for a few days, I think yesterday and a day before, I was probably stuck in my house, after tax season, grieving the loss of my fur baby and all of that stuff, that I wanted to make sure I did grieve him and not just ignore it. And this comes with healing, because prior to healing, that wouldn't have been done. That wouldn't have been a priority, but then it comes out in different aspects of life, whether it's anger, whatever it is.
Yeah.
For me, I know it was a lot of the times I don't want to say I was ever bitter. I don't think I was ever bitter. It was me being, some people say I come off bitchy, but I just walked around with this attitude. Like I didn't know how to show certain emotions with people, because you don't want to show that vulnerability to people. You have to be that tough person. But you grew up in New York, a big city.
Definitely.
You have to be tough, especially
we all have that side of us that comes out every now and then.
Right. So you're from the Bronx. I'm from Chicago. Although I have to say, walking in the Bronx wasn't as scary as walking in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
The gangs were different, I have to say. It was so different that I was like, this is really, like, I felt much safer in New York, walking in New York, than I did in Chicago. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because in Chicago, if they don't know who you are, you don't look familiar from that neighborhood, they won't just let you pass by that neighborhood just like that. In New York, I was able to go even through the projects, and no one bothered.
Yeah.
Like, they would look, whatever, like, who the heck? But I don't know if it was because I was with my ex-husband's aunt or whatever. But because I actually walked around with my ex-husband and no one bothered us, like really didn't bother us. So I was like, okay, this is different. New Yorkers can
be nice when they want to.
I mean, we still looked out, for ourselves or whatever, and make sure that nothing kind of crazy was going to happen.
Right.
But when it came to that, like the gangs and stuff, like literally, especially a Hispanic male walking in a different neighborhood.
Gotcha.
It wasn't that easy. But coming from our neighborhood, we couldn't show those types of feelings. We had to be, they say, a lot of the times the women act very boyish or manly or having that match, but that's because we had to be in that type of environment.
Exactly.
So going through the whole healing, I had to learn how to rip that away. I mean, I still have it at times because you have to have it, but so now with going through everything that I'm going through, I think I can be a better entrepreneur now than I was a few years ago. because I'm able to speak to you very authentic without having that shield over my face to give you what you want to hear, as opposed to, like I said, what you should hear.
Exactly.
Because before, you probably would have never had known anything really much about me and my struggles or anything, because I wouldn't want you to know those struggles. I would rather let you know that I'm such a successful entrepreneur and I have this, I have that, all the materialistic things that I have, as opposed to, it was hard to get to where I was at.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it's like, I give the platform for any woman that is doing, and any man, if a man wants to come to me and be like, hey, I've gone through this and this is where I'm at, to be able to speak, to be able to give their story. I want to be able to be that go-to, and hey, who can I speak to about this? I'm going through this. I want people to be like, Janelle, you gotta go talk to Janelle. You gotta go on her podcast, whatever. Exactly. That's like my thing. So I love what you're doing with this. This is your first one, right?
This is my first publication, and it could be found on Amazon. So I'm pretty sure you guys are going to have the link at the end of the show. Also, very soon, we're going to have a website that's opening. We're just working on the last touches. It's going to have merchandise like the one that I'm wearing now. The merchandise, as well as the book, but in particularly the brand, it's going to serve as a reminder to anybody that's out there that feels hopeless, that's in a state of despondency, that feels like you're going through things alone. Anytime you see the Bella Vida brand, the purpose attached to it is that, hey, it's going to be a reminder. We see you, we hear you, because you matter, and you're not alone. You're not alone. I want to have, resources on the website. If anybody needs counseling, if anybody needs prayer, whatever the case might be, for them to be able to find those resources and just know, like, listen, you are not, you don't have to go through this alone. Like, we care. Because, again, I know at firsthand what it feels like to go through those situations. And, again, just because of one person that was there to lend a helping hand, because of prayers of people that covered my life, I'm still here to tell the story. And just know that your circumstances don't define you. Your thoughts don't define you. Your emotions don't define you. All of those things are subject to change, just like the weather. And that's how Who Am I came about, the poem, which is my second favorite of the book, and the very last one as well in the book, because it's so easy to get caught up and start identifying with your pain, because pain can be tormenting, especially if it's physical pain, that you're in pain 24 hours a day. It's easy to start identifying with your circumstance and just lose sight of who you really are. And at the end of the day, Janelle is not her pain. Janelle is not her circumstances. You're not even your own thoughts. At the end of the day, who you are inside is your spirit. That's the real you. Everything else can change in a blink of an eye. So Who Am I, is a poem where it's a conversation between the spirit, the soul, and the mind. The soul and the mind are going back and forth in an argument, and the spirit has to step in and say, hey, listen. And it talks to the soul, I'm going to answer your question as to who am I. Tells the mind to be quiet and take 5, and has that conversation with the soul. And it's a powerful thing when you're able to arrive to that, enlightenment. It's like, man, all this time, because, when you get lost, there comes a time when you look in the mirror and like, who are you? Yeah. There's another poem in there. It's like you look in the mirror and you don't even recognize, like, who is this person? Like, what happened to Bella, the real Bella? So, yeah, it's a powerful thing. And I just wanted to share that with everybody.
So you speaking with that, so it's going to be more than a book. You're doing more stuff. Are you doing like a nonprofit, or what is it that you're doing?
It's not a nonprofit, but everything is geared towards mental health awareness. Through motivational speaking, sharing, again, real life experience. And it's more like just being a supportive platform for those people that either can't find their voice or have lost their voice. I feel like so many people, have shared their experience and have helped me, whether it's through a podcast or, a motivational message that I've heard, or whatever the case might be, in my times where I've been lost, for lack of a better word. And I want to be able to just return the favor to those that help me find my voice and help them find theirs.
I love that.
Just pay it forward, because that's what it all is all about at the end of the day, paying it forward.
So as you guys know, we do pre-record this, and her podcast is going to be most likely coming out May 2nd. I say most likely because there's a situation going on with my podcast episodes, but I'm going to make sure it does, because I want to open this month. It's going to be May 2nd. So May 2nd in May is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Nice, exactly.
So it's just all happens. Perfect timing. That's why I was like on my phone looking for that. I was like, wait a minute. I did this before. Like, I messed up on the months. Like, I was not good at looking at what each month is. But yeah, May 1st to May 31st is Mental Health Awareness Month. So for you to be on here and speak about that is just very perfect timing. And
that's one of the reasons why I'm like, oh my God, it's so last minute. But at the same time, it's right on time.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's all about, you know? Because God blesses us and he takes us through the seasons of our lives from one side to another, not for us to say, oh my God, look at me, but to pay it forward and be able to help others, you know what I mean? Whether he blesses you financially, whatever the case might be, it's for you to pay it forward. And that's the true meaning of legacy, how you imprint and you influence and you encounter and experience one person at a time every day. If you look at the beginning of the book, I start off quoting Maya Angelou, because at the end of the day, it's true. People can forget what you said. People can forget what you did, but they will never, never, never forget how you make them feel. And it's like, okay, that's our true legacy. How did they experience Bella today? What was I able to pour into somebody else's life, and vice versa? Because at the end of the day, we're not able to take anything with us when we leave this world. And while there's nothing wrong with success, but, at the end of the day, these are the things that really matter.
And with all of this, was there one pivotal point in your life that made you feel like this is what you wanted to do?
When I contemplated throwing in the towel, honestly, I took time, and first of all, I said, okay, even though, and I think everybody goes through that, there's a big gap between thought and action. I never took any action behind it, but certainly contemplated and entertained the thought. But actually three things came to my mind when I was experiencing and entertaining those thoughts. Number one, my faith. It's like, okay, if you truly, truly, truly believe, then that's not an option. Number two, the people that are left behind, how that's going to affect them. And number three, how do I want to be remembered when I'm gone? Do I want to be remembered as that woe is me, the person that's always going through something? Or do I want to leave a legacy? And I felt like, because, I'm not the only one that has gone through these experiences, or even what I'm still going through today, I owed it to the world to leave a note. And this publication was my note. So I said, you know what, let me self-publish and then just see what happens. And here I am over a year later, never in a million years thinking I will be sitting with you in front of these cameras talking to the world.
That's
So,
amazing.
again, God is good.
Yeah, all the time.
He never will shortchange you when you let go and let God.
And I'm sure there's a lot of listeners that may not believe in God, but they may believe in the universe or whatever it is that you believe in. But there's always this force that's going to stop you from doing something.
Yes.
I go back and forth with, I'm not a religious person, but I am a spiritual person.
Gotcha.
I grew up in church. I grew up very Catholic. So I still practice a lot of things, or have the belief of a lot of things.
Right.
So then I toyed around with different religions, and then I go to Christian church here and there or whatever.
Right.
But it's not so much the congregation for me. It's more of if I resonate with the preacher or the priest or whatever it is that's giving the message.
Gotcha.
That's where I'm at. So I don't need to go to church every Sunday, where I grew up. I'm telling you, I was 7 days a week in church. in
and I'm
school
glad
with
that you brought
everything.
that up because yeah, I mean, it's not about religion. It's not about denomination. It's not about a structure, the structure of a building. We are the church, you know what I mean? And it's about relationship. At the end of the day, it's about relationship. It's almost like, again, whoever's listening, like you said, whether it's God, higher power,
Whatever faith it is.
whatever, they, label it as, it's about relationship. It's about, just to give like you said, an analogy that they can understand. It's almost like a marriage. When you make a commitment, you're going to love that person in the good, the bad, sickness, health, rich, poor, for who they are. A lot of times, people will seek God or the miracles of God, but not the God of miracles. So it's about relationship. It's about, listen, no matter what's happening in my life, and that's one of the things that I reflected on at that moment when I entertained those thoughts over a year ago. Am I only going to have faith in the good when everything is good, or, in the bad? Because, again, whether the blessings come or not, you're going to love, God, that
Regardless.
higher power, no matter what, for who they are, that spirit, because God is a spirit. So, yeah, it's about relationship. I'm glad that you said about religion, because it's not about religion at all.
Yeah, and me being a testament of a lot of struggles in life. And what I tell people, and I tell this with my clients too, that you're going through struggles right now, and everything's temporary. So even struggles is temporary, but you have to really look at it and ask yourself, why are you going through these struggles?
Yes.
Because a lot of the times you might be going through a struggle because you find yourself complacent, and God wants you to go a step further. Exactly. And you're holding yourself back, and God is pushing you to go to that. Take that step. Take that leap. Take whatever it is to get to where you're at. Right. So I tell people, look at the struggles that you're going through and ask yourself, what's the purpose of this?
And I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because a lot of times, and that was my experience, I self-sabotage my whole life. And it came from, as a result of the root of rejection. And when we fail to learn the lesson and pass the test, the universe is going to keep giving you the test over and over and over again. It's going to show up with different circumstances, with a different face, with a different name. But it isn't until you do the work and you pass the test, exactly the question, what am I supposed to learn from this? And you heal, that you keep going through the cycles and the cycles and the cycles.
Because if you don't heal, you're going to keep on. It's true.
It's just almost like insanity.
Yeah.
You expect to get different results, but
by
you're
doing
not.
This, yeah.
You're not if you keep doing the same thing over and over again. If you keep on doing the same
thing, correct. And I preach that all the time, because a lot of people are like, why me? Why me? Why me? Why not you?
Me? Exactly. Why not me?
Right.
And that was me for many years until I came to the conclusion, why not me? What if the darkest moment is a blessing in disguise, and I'm just looking at it the wrong way?
Recently, I got asked this question, and this was by my sister. So my sister, when I told her about my fur baby passing, of course, she took it very hard. My sister and I are 15 years apart. She's younger than me. So when I told her that, her son and my fur baby, they basically grew up together. They were around the same age. So it was very hard because, like I said, everybody knows that Bam Bam was my baby. And when he passed, all of this was happening while I'm healing from my surgery, plus tax season and everything else. And she literally asked me, or I don't know if it was a question or if it was just a statement, but it was more of a statement. I don't know how you're doing it all. Because she knows I'm running the business. She works with me as well. So having to make sure she's doing her work, making sure that I'm doing my work, making sure my assistant's doing her work, making sure everything. My sister came out and said, I don't know how you're doing it all. And I had to sit back and like, how am I doing it all? Like, what am I doing? And I know and many people don't know about it. And I wrote it in my book. It says, I disassociate. So when I go through certain things to be able to overcome them, I disassociate from the situation. And that's just my way of protecting myself from going through all of this and feeling the pain in the moment.
Gotcha.
But it doesn't mean that you're never going to feel that pain, because it's going to creep up on you. So disassociating, I am an expert on that.
That's good to know.
So I can, even if I'm going through certain pains, even the flesh pain or whatever, I may not be feeling it in the moment. Like I really will, because I was physically abused by a parent growing up, while you're going through that physical pain, the only way for you to not feel it in the moment is just go off in your mind into another world.
Right.
So I still have that till this day, and it's very hard to overcome that. But then I look at it like it's a superpower. Mm-hmm. It's a superpower that I have, and not everyone knows how to do it. So when she questioned me, I started to question myself. And then I'm like, you know what? I still have that disassociation in me. Gotcha. And it's crazy because speaking on the panel, being up there, I mean, I wasn't purposely trying to make jokes or make people laugh, but it was just happening naturally. Right. It's like, how was I able to do all of that knowing that I was still going through this pain? It was like, it's because of that superpower.
Exactly.
And I have to really take in, but you know what? God put me through those circumstances back then so that way I can be the woman that I am today, and being able to go through all of this stuff that I went. Because he's my recent loss, but I've had several losses throughout these years.
Right.
And it's just like back to back. And it's like, okay, God, give me a break. You know, gotcha. Give me a universe, God, whatever. Give me a break. But it's like, all right, I'm going through this, but it's because I have to be able to relate to other people that have gone through it to make a change into this world.
Yep. You cannot help or relate to other people if you don't have a testimony. Mm-hmm. And you can't have a testimony if you haven't gone through anything.
Yeah.
Like, now I can look at somebody that's going through domestic violence, that's going through homelessness, that's going through sickness and infirmity, and really be able to look them in the eye and say, hey, listen, I really know and understand what you're going through because I've lived it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So everything happens, in our lives for a reason, and it's always to pay it forward. And, in my personal experience, like I said, first and foremost, God and the prayers that have covered me. And second of all, I can definitely relate to the disassociation, because one of my favorite books are The Fourth Agreement and The Fifth Agreement that precisely talk about that. Mm-hmm. Like how to look in as a third person, observing the situation, because a lot of times in our mind, we believe our thoughts, right? Mm-hmm. We believe our feelings. But if you look at it from the outside in, you realize and you're able to separate, okay, what's really facts? Like, is this true? Mm-hmm. Or is this just, again, my thoughts and my emotions? And once you're able to see that something is not true, mm-hmm. that there's nothing validating that, okay, you know what? I can get past this and I can work through those emotions.
Mm-hmm. You know what I do right now? Because there's a lot of emotions that sometimes I feel like, should I be feeling like this? Should I not be feeling like that? What you just said.
Right.
I will ask people around me, like, how do you feel in this situation? How should I be feeling? Should I be feeling sad about it? Should I not? Am I overreacting? Just like the healing process with my surgery. I had the post-op, my second one, and I asked them, like, this is what's happening to me in this process. Is this normal? Because I'm like, is it my head playing tricks on me? Am I feeling that type of pain? Am I feeling those shooting, whatever it is? Am I feeling the tightness? Or is like my mind really, they were like, no, that's what's going to happen.
Right.
You're still healing.
Yes.
All this. I'm like, okay, so I'm not crazy.
Exactly. And
So
I
I
can
had to
totally
ask.
relate to that when you were talking about everything that you've gone through, even though I haven't had brain surgery,
No, it's not brain surgery. It was just a tumor in the head.
okay, well, any type of surgery,
Yeah.
thank God. I've been through 3 concussions and traumatic brain injuries from car accidents and stuff like that. So I can totally relate when it comes to the numbness, the brain fog, just a lot of things. And it's like, man, it's hard,
Yeah.
but
So yeah,
we're here.
I had to ask, like, even with, the passing of my fur baby and all that stuff, like I had to tell people, like, is this normal? Am I okay? Or people be like, it's
Yeah.
okay. It was your baby. It's okay to still
It is
mourn it.
okay.
So it's just like, all right. But I do have to ask. Like sometimes because for a very long time, I wasn't one to share my emotions. I was always my sister always says I don't know how to express empathy or anything like that. Although I'm very empathetic with people, I just don't know how to express not empathy, but not vulnerability, but having those emotions of touch and feel and being lovable with people. She says I don't know how to do it, which I didn't know how to do. I'm doing it better now.
Right.
I've been much better, but with all of that, we're coming up close to the end of the podcast. We've been talking a lot. And guys, this is it was, like I said in the beginning, it was very spur of the moment. It was last minute. And I was like, you know what? Let me ask her to see if she has the time even to come on. Usually I like to research the person, really order the book and really go through it so I can be able to have questions and all that. But so it was great that it was all meant to happen.
And I'm glad that it's happened casually because I was like, oh my God, 45 minutes. What are we going to talk about for 45 minutes? But
it's come naturally.
Yes.
I like to do it naturally. And honestly, when I'm sitting here and talking about this, and then I go back and view the videos, I'm like, I said that? That was a pretty cool comment. So you'll see it too. Like once you get the video, you'll see it and be like, oh, okay, cool. I should have said this. I should have said that. So I always tell people, if you ever want to feel the need to come back and talk about something, you're more than welcome. Just reach out to me. But before we do go, is there any other message that you would love to portray to everyone?
Again, just at the end of the day, embrace where you are. Again, the good, the bad, and the ugly, embrace all of it, even if it's challenging, because it all defines at the end of the day your process, who you are, and what you're called to do. And like you said, this too shall pass. Everything, even though there's some seasons that seem like they're never going to be over, but everything, has its time, and everything will pass, and you'll come on the other side stronger and with more resilience. And just remember, you don't have to go through it alone. Even if it's one person there that's willing to lend an ear or a helping hand, don't be afraid to ask for help or accept the help. Because a lot of times when we're going through the motions, there's a little bit of pride there too, I know as a Latina and as a New Yorker, it's challenging, or it was challenging. That's not the case anymore, to ask for help or accept help. I'm like, I got this, independent, miss me. But no, it's okay. It's okay to need help, and it's okay to accept help. So.
And I usually ask this question. Well, before I ask this question, and I may rephrase it though. If anyone wants to reach out to you, what is your IG handle or email that you would like to provide?
So you guys can follow at Bella Vida Love. That's LUV. On Instagram at Bella Vida Love. And we have a website that's going to be coming soon. And that's www.bellavidalove.com. And again, that's LUV, bellavidalove.com.
And I usually ask people, and I know you said it before, but I usually ask people, do you feel successful right now?
If you would have asked me that question a while back, I would have said no, because just like you, sometimes we look at the definition of success with, numbers in a bank account, or, how many followers you have or what you've done. But just the fact that, even if it's one person, which, I've had the blessing to have a lot of people reach out, whether it's on Amazon, whether it's at a poetry event, and say, hey, thank you for that. I was able to relate to that because I've gone through this, or it gave me hope, or it strengthened my faith, or I know that I'm not alone, then you know what? It was worth going through everything and still being here. So that, in a nutshell, is the most rewarding thing that anybody can accomplish.
Well, I didn't have to rephrase that question because she was able to answer it.
And hopefully you guys that are listening now have been able to take something away from this experience, and definitely comment, share, give us feedback. Give Janelle feedback.
So thank you so much for coming and visiting me and sharing your story with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
And
you're awesome sauce.
Thank you guys for tuning in on any podcast platforms and on YouTube. Please, please, please do not forget to subscribe, share, review, and like. I am reviewing all the reviews, and that's what's going to help me to bring on different topics and different individuals. So please don't forget. Until next time, thank you.
Bye.